here we are with this morning's stretch workout. I've been using these videos to focus on different areas that have been helpful rather than just going through a full stretch routine. You can find full stretch routines quite easily on their website, in the members area, either on the YouTube channel through the same sort of listings at the website, and also by searching within the group right here. Just put stretch into the search. It's usually in the top right on a mobile phone or a mobile device on the app, or quite easily found on a browser page. Type in stretch and a bunch of different stretch workouts will come up, and you'll be able to kind of scroll through and find a routine if you want to do kind of more like that yoga Pilates style stretch workout. What we're focusing on this morning is lower back in this sort of area, muscles that get tight, and then down into the glutes as well. We've done lots of glute stretches in the past. We're going to look at the connection between the lower back and the glutes, making sure that's functioning well. It's an area that when you first start training glutes particularly, can feel like it fatigues really quickly. Is it aching? Is it painful? That we've got to kind of separate the two and do some things to stay strong, stay healthy in that area, and alleviate some of the lifestyle issues that just general life creates, that creates weakness there, and building that back up. So these muscles are like any other muscle in sense of we work them and they'll feel an effect. So we need to also then focus on the recovery as well. Now, in this sort of area here, the lower back is a complex system of muscle connections. It's quite similar to the shoulder joints to make us be able to move all the different angles of the hip, all the rotations there in the ball and socket joints of the hips, supporting that and supporting the forward and back movement of the lumbar spine in this sort of area as well. Now, we're going to focus on just on kind of this little strip here and some stretches we can do into that area. Tightness and weakness there is going to affect feeling how we feel well as we work down into the glutes and other areas of the lower body, because actually we can't do things like squats, leg presses without some work into the glutes as well, even though we might be focusing on making them work for the quads more. So some stretches that we can do. A wall can be quite helpful, so some of these I'll do sideways over the whiteboard, and we're just looking to stretch into this lower body. We make the assumption now that we've been moving around, we've got some mobility, some sort of kind of little body warmth into what we're doing. Then we're going to take a fairly wide stance for this first one. We're going to go up nice and tall, particularly on the outside arm, and we're literally just going to side bend across. Now, some of these, depending on tightness in other areas, you might feel this in the lats, down the side into the obliques, but we're looking for this area here to just elongate and stretch. Now, it might be fairly subtle, so we'll hold it for up to 30 seconds. Wider stance is key as well. My mobility in this area is not great, whereas up and down into a squat sort of position it is pretty decent. Now, for a point of reference, you might want to do it against the wall, so we're going to go the other side. So we get that wide stance again, up and over towards the wall. I'm a little bit far away, and now I can feel the stretch there. So I'm actually feeling more stretch on this side, more in the lats to be fair, but I'm looking for this area here, coming around into the back to open up. That's that one. Similar, but a slightly different effect. We're going to take a cross leg, and the leg where we've moved across, so we've created more gap here. We're then going to take that over as well. Now, depending on your balance, which mine isn't amazing in this position, So this is going to actually develop the stretch in that now we've moved the hip across, we're pushing that hip slightly across. We're going to use the wall so we don't fall over. So nice and close, bending across. You can reach the wall easily, bring those feet out of touch. And we're getting this stretch here, but more focus on as I move. This area here around the back, that's what we're aiming to work on. So my hand is just popping around over there. A few nice views of my sides today. There we go. And then we'll go around to the other side. Clearly I need the wall to balance, so I'm just go to the side, up and over. Once again, slightly more flexible this way. So I can move out slightly. Just using the hip across, up and over. Really good. Okay, then we can take it down to the floor and we need to spread out and go this way. So 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, and then we've got that nice shape there. Opened up the hip here. I'm just going to lean across and give myself very much space. Leaning across. Another little lift to side bend. Really good. Incidentally, this is quite good for this glute on this side. So any of these positions on the floor, this position, if you struggle to get into it, don't worry about it too much. In the sense of even doing this particular stretch. It's a very similar stretch, it's just we're going for a slightly different stimulus. We'll start a different position again. Some people can really side bend really well, depending on how tight they are in those different positions. Up and over. Those are things, tall, over, elongate. This arm, for some people might even be now right down to the elbow. As long as the legs are fairly flat on the floor, nothing wrong with that. Okay, one more. If the first two are enough, and these are uncomfortable positions to get into, then the first two are the ones for you. If you're going to extend into these further ones, that's great. From here, we're just in a cross leg position. I'm just going to take that over again. Just judge how far I want to come out with this supporting hand. And then across to the other side. Pressing that in. Okay, so moving to strengthening. That's been mobility and flexibility. Moving to strengthening this area. We're going to start on all fours and little cat-cow up. Now, this focuses quite a lot on the upper part of the back, but with that nice stretching. Also into the lower back, little drop down, cow position, and up. Steady breathing. No, the spine isn't under load, so we're fine to take it out of the kind of good postural alignment. And then from here, similar sort of starting position into the bird dog. So one arm out, opposite leg up, and keeping that back and body nice and straight and flat. So now we do want that good postural alignment, everything in line, nice and strong. 5 or 6 second hold, round to the other side. Three or four of those each side. If you want to develop this into something a bit stronger, then arm out, bring the knee slightly in, stay on the same side, just bring that under. So it's like a power bird dog now. Bring it under. There we go, and then around to the other side. So up and out, start with, get that alignment, strong position, bring it under, little squeeze, power out. The thing with the core, the lower back, it's all about supporting other movement. Bring it under, little squeeze. And then what we're going to do is go up into a really strong plank. Now, a whole range of planks will really help. Just holding this one here, making sure everything's in line. Now, abs will be working at the front. Just switch the focus in your mind to the back muscles and just think about what they're doing. And they should be working as well. This is a great way to strengthen that connection. To the point of then adding movement to planks is to mimic the fact that we want the core to be nice and strong whilst we do some sort of movement. So in this little steady knee tuck here, keeping it really slow. Just going to put the focus onto the abs part of the core and the back, particularly for the straight supporting leg. Side. Now you can take that up to 10, 12 slow repetitions, take a little rest, and then in again. So further strengthening even more. If you've got any bands, long bands, knee band, they can be added into this as well. Your best couple of movements for strengthening are glute bridge or hip thrust variations. Hip thrust would be shoulders on, chin tucked in, hip thrust down like so. Little squeeze at the top each time. I always like to literally squeeze my hands. We're keeping the chin tucked down though, so that we focus on the glutes rather than hip flexors taking over and over over hipping through. We don't want the hips coming in too far forward. We do want maximum tension here. If we're going to add bands, we can have the knee band on, do exactly the same thing. Start off with a bodyweight set. Bring in the knee band if you've got one. Ten to 15. Then you add the next band. Just before I do that, I just want to show you a slightly different technique. So rather than leg out, so we can keep the band on, if we do one heel up, now the leg with the flat foot is going to do a bit more work. So we've taken away this glute significantly in terms of work on that side. It's B stance, almost like a split stance. On one side, bring that in, 10 on the other side. So, get started with both legs working together, then you can develop it to use the single leg or B stance, that's quite a good one, and then a good superset working the other way. So we've been contracting and shortening the glutes there. Now we're going to lengthen. 10-second stretch. Sitting right in. Then coming up, but don't push the hips through. Up and down. Keeping that focus on the glutes. There we go. So, if we add in the other band as well, also can be in a hip thrust position, shoulders would therefore be up on a low bench, or if you're doing this at home, on something like the sofa. Sofa's a good height because it's not as high as some other chairs and benches, usually. So, popping this band around, under the feet, around the loops, up and over the hips, pulling that up as much as you can. So, catching that under the feet. Now I've added that extra resistance. There. Into a nice superset with squat hold. Can do this as well, completely body weight, don't need any bands at all. Just really strong hold, sit back into the glutes. Ten reps, hips not coming through, up and down. Great stuff. So that is working the glutes. So now stretch down in that area. 2 good movements up into the downward dog. It's going to help all the way through the back because we've got the hips up nice and high. And then back through the heels. we can take this through to the pigeon stretch. Really, really good stretch for the glutes. Bring the hip out to the side. Develop this one forward, so we can take this round 2 or 3 times. This little downward dog pigeon, back up to a downward dog pigeon on the other side. Do 2 or 3 rounds, and you can develop the stretch forward. Back up to the downward dog. Come to a position, little cycle through the heels, keeping those hips up nice and high. Other side for the pigeon. As I said, you can repeat this 2 or 3 times. As you come back to the pigeon each time, you can bring this further forward. Just bring that up. Really good. There we go then. So 3 parts really. The stretch and flexibility element for the lower back. Then we've got that strengthening section for the glutes, or the lower back, and then into the glutes as well. And then we've got those glute stretches. If you're looking for your stretches, first part and fourth part, or working all the way through for that focus from the lower back all the way through the glutes, working on flexibility, mobility and strengthening. Any help or support you need to program this into what you're doing, do you put it into gym workouts, do you do it separately as recovery, please give me a shout. Always happy to help. Have a really good Thursday.